Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Scott Luton and Kevin L. Jackson with you here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's live stream. Kevin, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. How else could I feel? It's the second Monday of the month. It's Digital Transformers Buzz.
Man, okay. So whenever this Hollywood thing doesn't work out anymore for you, Kevin, you can do voiceovers for the Monster Truck Show coming to a city near you, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's the Buzz.
Wonderful. We
No,
need we need that kind of energy here today, folks. We got a big show teed up. Lots of good news, lots of technology, lots of news you can use, and then some. It's the special edition of the Supply Chain Buzz. It's a digital transformers edition of the Buzz here today. And as Kevin knows, and hopefully the rest of y'all, we're going to be discussing a variety of news and developments across global business with that extra helping of technology. And we want to hear from you. So, Kevin and I, we've got 4 stories and several resources to walk through. Let us know what you're thinking. Drop it in the chat and we'll sprinkle that in throughout. And Kevin, one last thing. For folks that may be listening to this replay, because we take this live stream and publish it as a audio podcast later in the week, what advice would you have to them? What should they do?
First of all, we love you with the replay. Okay, don't stop looking at the replay. That's great. You can get your information. It's when you are available. It fits your schedule. And that's what the replay is all about. But there's so much more you can do with the live, right? If you join us when we live, you can interact with our global audience. We get people here from India, Europe, South America, and that other country, United States. Yeah. We get people here from everywhere. And it's just the viewpoints that are so enlightening.
That's right.
When we have people in, and so join us live. Like the crowd is here already. Wow, look at all those people.
That's right. Speaking of T Squared, it's Monday. He says, "Bring on the nourishment." He holds down the fort for us on YouTube. Hey Joe, great to see you via LinkedIn. And yeah, Kevin's bringing the energy today. And Joe, let us know where you're tuned in from. And of course, Moms is here. Leah Luton from a cool Aiken, South Carolina.
She's keeping her eye on you, always.
always. So, Kevin, we got a lot to get into here today. And as Kevin suggested, y'all, hey, drop your thoughts in the chat. We'd love for y'all to be a part of the conversation. But, Kevin, I want to make sure folks understand that October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be talking a lot more about cyber as we always do, especially for the third story here today. But mark your calendars. If you take any month, and it really needs to be all year round, but at the very least, if you can learn more about cyber in the month of October, that'd be a good thing. Right, Kevin?
So it makes me wonder, why October? Is this the ghosts and goblins of cybersecurity out to get you?
I think you're onto something there. Gremlins, ghosts, goblins, all the
Grim Reaper. The cyber Grim Reaper is out to get you in October. So stay tuned. Your cybersecurity. Be aware. Protect yourself.
That's right. And stick around, because the third story here today, we're going to talk a lot more about the bad actors out there and what they're doing. All right, so resources. Folks, I invite you to join us this week. We got 2 webinars coming up. I'm joined by my great friends at Pivotry Fluent Commerce and Psycho Bunny, which is an apparel company.
That sounds
Kevin,
crazy. That sounds crazy.
I see what you did there. Hey, it is a apparel company on the move. So join us live Wednesday at 12 noon for the high cost of inaction, embracing the new status quo in supply chain. As if that isn't good enough, Kevin, you're joining me for a live webinar this Thursday at 12 noon with our friends at NetStock. Get this, a match made in heaven, your ERP and inventory planning software. Kevin, should be a great discussion, huh?
Hey, two times in 1 week. You get the live, baby.
So y'all join us for both Wednesday and Thursday. Great resources there. Okay. Hey, we got Gino with us here today. Great to see you up in North Alabama. Greg from Wisconsin. Greg, hope this finds you well. And hey, Sylvia, Judy, Kevin. Hello,
Hey.
y'all. Happy ghouls and goblins.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to be in LA later this month. My sister is getting her master's degree
Really?
down in Foley, Alabama.
Foley,
So I say
Alabama.
LA. I heard that Northern Alabama.
Lower Alabama. Kevin, so Gino, you're gonna have to tell. I know Gino, you're way up there in North Alabama. You're gonna have to give Kevin any places to eat, maybe in Foley, if you've ever been there. We'll see. All right, one last point here. Joe tuned in from Manassas, Virginia, near Quantico. All
Hey,
right, Joe.
Manassas, where are you? I'm in in Sumner Lake,
Okay.
in Manassas, Virginia. Where are you, Joe?
Well, we'll have to get y'all. We're getting you triangulated,
Yeah,
Joe.
triangulate that. Yeah, we gotta
And
go have a coffee or something.
and by the way, looks like Gino's kids may live in Foley, so maybe they'll give you the inside scoop there. Foley, Alabama. How about that? All right, so Kevin, we gotta get to work. You ready?
Oh no, not to get to work. I'm having
No.
too much fun.
All right, well, let's get into our first story here today because we're going to start with some good news. It's always good to start with good news. And Kevin, also great to have you back on this second Monday of the month. All right, so first off, the United Auto Workers appear to be making some progress in
Mm,
negotiations with the big three automotive companies because, Kevin, they've chosen not to expand the labor strikes last week for the first time since the strikes have began. So I'll
okay.
take that as some good news.
They're
Uh,
talking.
yeah,
That's
they're
good.
talking and making some progress, perhaps. On a related note, the manufacturing industry in the U.S. seems to have picked up a little pace in September. So, Kevin, according to our friends at Reuters, the manufacturing industry in September, according to ISM's manufacturing index, showed its strongest activity since November 2022. Now, while it still shows an overall contraction for the 11th month in a row, it is contracting at a little bit slower of a pace. Hey, we'll take it.
Mm,
And it's really close. So on that index, 50 is like the line of demarcation. If you're
yeah.
under 50, you're contracting. If you're over 50, you're growing. I think they came in at 49 for the month of September. But a little more good news. I'm gonna get your take, Kevin. The U.S. Department of Commerce released figures showing that the spend on the domestic construction market rose
Mhm.
again in August for the 8th straight month. Now, with all of that good news, and I'm going to take that as good news, there's still lots of debate whether or not the U.S. economy hits a soft landing or something a lot worse. We'll see. Kevin, your thoughts up.
So last week we saw over 300,000 new jobs
Mm.
created. So don't get me wrong, I am all for everyone having a job, especially, those kids and everything. But that is one of the signs of an economy that's expanding at an unsustainable rate. The other sign
Yeah.
is a rising rate of inflation, which we
Mm.
also see signs of. So, I mean, I hope we can sort of skid in there on a like nice soft landing. That's an Air Force landing. You know.
Well, now let's expound that a little bit more because it's funny. When I was in the Air Force, whenever you saw pilots come straight down and
Yeah.
instead of a nice long glide, those were Navy pilots are used to having a certain amount of real estate.
Yes.
But Kevin, a lot of folks may not know that you are a naval aviator. So when we're talking soft landings or hard landings, I would assume any soft landing is music to your ears, huh?
Look. You land hard on a carrier, and any landing is a good landing.
I'm with you. I don't know
I
how.
have over 200 traps, and every one of them were nice and solid on that 3-wire, baby.
Wow, man, it's remarkable. We're gonna have to have you on a show of veteran voices and just talk about the training just being able to all that it takes to be able to
Mm.
land an aircraft on a pitching and rolling carrier deck out in the middle of the ocean. That is just remarkable to me. All right. we were talking. So last note, then, Kevin, you're talking about a 300,000 jobs report that came out last week. That's some good news, and we'll just see where. I'm no economist, thankfully. Our audience probably celebrates that, but we'll see. I think some folks may take that soft landing based on earlier projections of where the economy was headed, huh?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's you know, everything is hard. Soft landings are hard, and but let's see if we can hit it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, moving right along. This is an interesting story number 2 here about Legos. Did you play with Legos as a kid, Kevin?
Oh yeah, I love Legos. I still play with Legos. In fact, didn't we? What was it, Theo? Just a couple of weeks ago, we had Theo on. She had
Yes.
that big Star Wars Millennium Falcon Legos.
That's right. Man, you got a great memory. And my son loves Legos, but boy, the prices of these Legos. But hey, let's talk about Legos from a supply chain perspective, perhaps. Great read here from the folks over at the Fashion Law. Now, Lego, in case you're keeping track at home, the world's largest toy manufacturer, and it's pledged some $1.4 billion to reduce carbon emissions across its global supply chain by 2025. Now, Bottles to Bricks was one neat project associated with the company's sustainability initiative, where Lego was looking to make its Lego bricks, like y'all see here in the picture, out of recycled plastic bottles. But Kevin, the company had a little bit of a eureka moment. It recently discovered that the Bottles to Bricks process, the manufacturing process, would require a lot more extra materials and energy, which would actually increase the company's carbon emissions. No good deed, right? Now, as the article also includes, and I think it's important for folks because you're hearing these terms thrown out almost in every conversation, especially scope 3. So I want to walk through this, Kevin, and I'll get your comments here. 3 basic types of emissions, right? Scope 1 are those emissions generated directly by the company's facilities and operations, right? Very direct emissions.
Yeah.
Scope 2 are those emissions caused by generating the energy that a company consumes. Think electricity or heating or cooling, you name it.
Carbon-based energy, yeah.
Yeah, scope 2. And now that brings us to scope 3, which is talked about a ton, and for good reason. Scope 3 emissions are generated by an organization's upstream and downstream supply chain, suppliers, distributors, customers, the whole enchilada. Now back to back to Lego.
Lego.
It's
the
been
Lego logo. Okay.
It's been reported that 98% of the Lego company's carbon emissions are scope 3. So no wonder why we're spending so much time on scope 3. So big opportunities and soon requirements as regulations are increasing around the world. Kevin, your thoughts?
So what this really brings to fore is the fact that everything is connected, which means that it's critical to do everything in moderation. That, they always say there's no such, you can never have too much of a good thing.
Right.
That is actually wrong, right? Too much water, you drown. So recycling is a great thing. But using more carbon sourced energy to recycle isn't. So let's all work to identify and maintain the appropriate balance. And, I applaud Lego for actually, listening. Clearly, they listened to someone who understands the whole value chain when it comes to emissions and carbon neutral economy, and they learned from that. So it takes us all to work together. So I'm sure Lego is going to figure out that right and appropriate balance.
Yeah, no doubt about that. They seem very, it actually. The article mentions, of course, so many kids play with Legos, and sustainability is all about protecting the earth that our kids are inheriting. So they're really serious, as it seems, about their ESG initiatives, and in particular, their sustainability goals. All right. So y'all check out that article. Let us know what you think there. And Sylvia's got a, speaking of Lego, Kevin,
Okay.
let's see. Sylvia says Lego is planning to produce in Virginia.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And
I'm gonna get
reuse,
some better Legos.
right? Maybe reuse and repurpose versus recycle. I'm the queen of that, Sylvia says. I'm with you. I am with you, Sylvia. Now, Joe is throwing a resource out there that I'm certainly familiar with, the
Okay.
Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and it is a great program. In a nutshell, to my knowledge, at least, Kevin, the government manufacturing is great. Manufacturing is great for jobs. It's great for the economy. We're making stuff, so it's really important to any economy, no matter where you are. Well, the U.S. government invests in the manufacturing industry and helps these manufacturing companies, especially the small ones, figure things out so they can scale, right, and hire more folks. So y'all check out that note from Joe.
Yeah, and Joe, Ashland's not that far. Yeah, we're gonna have to get together, man.
Okay, all right, Joe. And you got to take pictures,
Take
or it didn't
pictures.
happen.
Absolutely.
All right.
Selfies are mandatory.
Speaking of getting some smart folks together, I think this was the latest released episode on Digital Transformers. Now, Kevin, this was a classic, as y'all can tell by the logo, the label there. It had Dr. Camille Jones, our friend Eric, and Josh. Now, why should folks check out this episode of Digital Transformers, Kevin?
No, this is absolutely a wonderful episode. And we did this before artificial intelligence was all the rage. That's one reason why we rebroadcast this one. This is your federal government leveraging artificial intelligence to improve our society. Dr. Camille Jones led a project to improve how people, the census takers would work. They're leveraging mobile devices as they go and count everyone's nose, right? And now it's giving more ability of them to collect the information, but it also is protecting them against, guess what? Cyber incursions. One of the things when they first used devices, one of the biggest challenges were malevolent actors, putting malware on these devices. So Forward Edge AI is using artificial intelligence to protect these devices so that we can get counted correctly. So check out the latest Digital Transformers.
Awesome, Kevin. I appreciate that. And we got the link. Y'all can check out the link right there. You can listen to it. You can watch it. No matter. You can learn about the guests all at that landing page right there. And Kevin, keep them coming. I got to ask you something about something though. Did you say counting everybody's nose? Is that what you said, Kevin?
Count the noses.
All right. That's what I thought
1, 2,
you said.
3, 4.
Okay.
The census is coming up in 2030, baby.
Oh, is that the next one? 2030?
Well, the next national census is 2030. According to the Constitution, you have to do it every 10 years. Okay. But people don't realize is that there is some type of census that occurs every year.
Okay.
All right. So even on those off years, we have people out there checking and counting and making sure. This goes to our representative democracy, right? You got to know where people are, how many people in your district, how many people in your state and your city, so that the money can be appropriated properly.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, hey, check out that episode. Learn how your government, our government, it continues to evolve and get better, especially with the growing cyber threat, which we're going to talk about in just a second.
Yes.
Okay. So, Kevin, let's get into this third and fourth story. This is an interesting one here. From our friends at Supply Chain Digital, we're talking about change.
Always changing chains.
Especially, though, in this case, Kevin, when it comes to reevaluating the use of the phrase supply chain. So tell us more.
Well, the pandemic changed a lot, including the nature of the global supply and demand economy. While geopolitical instability and we can't get away from what's happening in the world, and we have Ukraine and Russia, but and China and the U.S. and now we have this big flare up between Israel and Hamas. But
Mm.
this is really this has all changed the shape of supply and demand economy. But in today's world, business is moving from the concept of linear change to dynamic configuration of a network of companies and locations. When it comes to supply, we used to always talk about locally sourced or regionally sourced.
Right.
Everything today is globally
Mm.
sourced. So sustainability, we just talked about that. Visibility and resilience are really defining the new standard for supply chain excellence,
Mm.
which means we have to question what should be sourced locally or regionally or globally.
Mm.
This leads to the formation and management of very complex partner ecosystems. So modern supply chains are really more network based than in the pre-pandemic times. And that requires a mindset change among all of the vendors, among your vendors. Traditional supply chains are set to become more like private training
Mm.
networks, all of which will be many to many trading networks that are permission based. Think blockchain.
Right.
This inevitable transition leads to digitally networked ecosystems with shared data in the cloud. Think digital transformation, right? So all of this is really critical. It's to change, to keep up, to understand. We're in supply networks now.
Mm. That word ecosystems,
Mhm.
folks, if you think you've heard that word a lot, buckle up because these next few years, we're going to be hearing about that a ton to somewhat Kevin's points, because it doesn't matter what you call it. It's just no longer are things going to be, are going to statically remain that linear supply chain, to Kevin's point. I think the other thing,
Yeah.
Kevin.
Greg and I went to a event in South Carolina last year, and where this came up,
Yep.
the importance of no longer looking at business processes like supply chain management as a linear thing. You really have to expand your viewpoint
That's right.
and be able to manage that network.
I think that was the Global Upstate
Yes,
Conference event you and
yes.
Greg both spoke at. So also check out, and we've got the link to each of these articles in the chat. I think the other thing I enjoyed about this read here is it talked about Ernst & Young's research into 500 senior level leaders at a wide variety of companies that all had revenues over $1 billion. And what that research is telling them kind of bolsters what you and I both are saying,
Mhm.
that by 2025, that's where the research really sees a lot more of these autonomous supply chains really replacing these hybrid models and processes and operations that we have here today. That's going to be interesting, Kevin. And they also, in the article, they also kind of pointed at one of the quotes pointed at we've got autonomous driving cars where
Yeah.
lives are in stake. And, if we can do that, we can certainly apply it to autonomous supply chains. I would say this, and we're going to talk about this in just a second, but these handoff points between each node in the supply chain, that's where there's a ton of risk, especially at cyber risk, as digital transformation has been taking root for years.
Yeah.
And there's something about, and I can't quite find the right analogy, Kevin, But with a car, I guess you got other people at risk, but all the information is kind of within the four walls of the car. And that's where these global supply chains, especially in these really big organizations, it seems like to me the complexity is so much more, right? Because you got thousands of suppliers, each of those information handoff points, and you got, as we're going to talk about in a second, you got tons and tons of bad actors that are looking for the right time, the right
Yeah.
weak point at the right time and do bad things, right, Kevin?
Well, I'll tell you, you think that's scary?
Uh-oh.
We were just talking about these networks and identifying vendors.
Mm,
This means that more and more vendors are small and medium-sized businesses.
mm-hmm.
In order to be resilient in your supply chain, you need to have more sources. And as your customer base grows, you need to be able to adjust your product and services sometimes to meet a single user's needs and expectations.
Right.
Did you know that there are over 33 million small businesses just in the United States alone?
Really?
I mean, over 60, almost 62 million Americans work in small businesses. And that's where companies are going to be sourcing from, small and medium-sized businesses. Now, if you have that many endpoints to deal with, think about your cybersecurity challenge.
I'm with you,
You
man.
need to be able to make sure that your vendor network is secure, that your vendor network hasn't been compromised so that they can break into your network. I mean, you heard about the Target breach years ago, right?
Yeah.
Did you hear about that? And that was a HVAC vendor to Target. So the HVAC vendors network had been breached.
Yep.
And that enabled the malevolent actor to get into the Target network. And that led to hundreds of millions of credit cards being compromised and tens of millions of losses to Target.
So you're illustrating, and I've got one other anecdote I'm gonna share with you.
Mm-hmm.
Autonomous supply chains are definitely going to be here, right? They're
Yes.
It's just a matter of when. I think for me, and 2025, especially for the largest, most complex ecosystems we're talking about that have thousands of those handoff touch points, I think that seems a bit ambitious, but we'll see. I want to make sure folks understand, if you're late to the show, October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So if we're baking in an extra dose of that in our themes today, that's why. I want to share this with you, Kevin. You're talking about the Target example. Our friends at Cisco, we've had Jack Allen with us on a couple of different times, and they pointed out, I think this was part of it was a real story that they then baked into a Cisco campaign, if I got that right. And Kevin, I think it's for me, it's like a level setting example. So basically, a team from a local factory, they all hung out in the evenings together, and they were in a bowling league, right? Okay. A bunch of employees from this factory. Well, the bowling league had an online portal for folks to enter their scores and track scoring and where the team stood and all that stuff. Well, bad actors were noticing via social media that these teams were celebrating and posting on social media that they were on this league together. Wow. And so the bad actors then go to the bowling alley, and then that's where they discover this, a bowling alley website, which is not going to have, perhaps, I don't want to generalize, but typically that's not going to have the same protections as a car factory or something.
Right.
So the bad actors, Kevin, were able to, using the information that the employees from this factory put into this their bowling alley database, they're able to crack it and then trace it back, gain entry into the factory technology platforms, and shut down the production line.
Wow.
Kevin,
Yeah. So these social media platforms are really common targets for hackers,
yes,
because you can gather information just like you're talking about,
yeah,
for phishing. They can imitate brands or launch malware against unsuspecting victims.
yep,
They can also spread malware to different accounts, steal that sensitive and sometimes unsensitive data. Think about it. I mean, I bowl on Mondays myself, and it's like,
really,
yeah, I
okay,
do, and it's like,
okay,
well, I don't think about that as being sensitive data, like, right? But you can use that information to find out additional information
mm,
that maybe enable you to use what's known as social engineering
right,
to really infiltrate, uh, businesses and companies and these commercial networks.
ah,
So cyber is critical, and this is the other thing. Everyone. You can't, in a way, separate your business from your pleasure. It used to be everyone talked about the work-life balance, but since when we actually used to have a work cell phone and
right.
a personal cell phone.
Isn't that
Who
crazy?
does that anymore? It's just too hard,
It's
right?
all one world. It's all one
It's
ecosystem.
all one you said it. It's another ecosystem that you have to manage. So it's cybersecurity month. Yes, you have to protect your businesses, but think about your personal cybersecurity.
That's right. That's right. All right. So Kevin, we got a fourth story we're gonna get into in just a
Okay.
second, but I wanna feature. So first off, Gino is coming with ideas here for your trip to Foley. He says,
Oh, okay.
"Sea and Suds is the oldest on the beach. Fish sandwich, world class," is what Gino
Oh,
says.
wow. I'm
So
gonna
write
write
that
that
down,
down.
Kevin.
I got that down.
Okay, write that down, and we'll see. We'll see if you and Gino's palates are similar. And then he also says cybersecurity. This is again Gino here. Cybersecurity and also sustainability have to be focused on the small business grassroots level to drive
Mm,
change. Great point there. Great point there. And Greg Studer points out that let's see here. We all know
who's
someone
Facebook?
whose Facebook page was hacked. I got it. I
Yes.
think we're missing. I was about to put General Electric in there somewhere, but no, I'm with you, Greg. I'm with you. And then finally, Sylvia says recently a nonprofit organization that she's familiar with was
Mhm.
hacked through QuickBooks. Kevin, man,
Yes. Yes.
okay, all right.
Wow. Those
First,
goblins are everywhere.
they really are, and the first step is to be aware, right, and really,
Awareness.
really be
Yes.
um, know what you're doing and know your vulnerabilities. Really, all right, and that's really kind of Kevin. If I can
Hmm.
pull up my graphic here, that's kind of where we're going with this fourth story. We're moving fast. I'll tell you what. Interesting read from Industrial Cybersecurity Pulse, who
Hmm.
is reporting on something we've spoken about quite a bit, right? Even over the last 34 minutes. And that is all of this wonderful digital transformation across global supply chain. It's the name of the game. We've
Yeah.
got to lean into it, right? But it also opens up new vulnerabilities for these bad ghouls and goblins that we've been talking about. Kevin, tell us more.
Yeah, I love my technology. Technologies like embedded sensors and GPS and RFID tags, these have really helped companies transform
Yep.
their existing traditional and networked supply chain structures into more agile, flexible, open, and collaborative digital models. These models and their abundance of data. And we really, this data is great, right? Because the data can benefit from machine learning and
Mm,
artificial intelligence, which is particularly, both of them are very useful in inventory and supply chain management. But these recent advancements in technology also increase the risk of use by cyber criminals, making manufacturing the number one target for cyber attacks. Companies are layering more systems into their IT networks to support remote work, enhance the customer experience, and to generate value, all of which creates potential new vulnerabilities. This was highlighted in a report from one of our longtime, that was published by one of our longtime supporters of digital transformers, AT&T Business. They had their last AT&T Insight cyber report talked about manufacturing and how it was like, that sweet apple for cyber criminals. They want to go after it. So companies that are layering these more and more systems onto their IT network to support remote work, so this creates really bad vulnerabilities, and the connectivity is dramatically increased in things like smart factories. This leaves them exposed to cyber threats. And in fact, Deloitte did a survey and found that while 90% of manufacturers reported capabilities to detect cyber events, very few of these companies have extended monitoring into their operational technology environments. So this digitized world, people continue to be one of the most glaring weak spots in cybersecurity. So cybersecurity training should begin for all new employees during the onboarding process and be continuous throughout their time with your organization. We need, from a personal point of view, strengthen passwords, because this is a critical first line of defense. And make sure you use MFA, or multi-factor authentication. When you put your password in and they send you something, a text through your cell phone, that's MFA, right? You need to use that. This can really be implemented quickly. And your software of your applications. I know it's a pain every day. My wife complains about, she has an iPhone, and every day all the apps of, different apps are being updated. And she's like, I know all this change. Why do they keep updating? I like the app just like it was. But these updates address security concerns, particularly in manufacturing. And in manufacturing, especially, sometimes you're using this legacy machinery that you really have to keep up. So applying patches whenever possible can also limit those areas of cyber weakness. I know we're talking a lot about cyber today, but it is cybersecurity awareness.
And it's so important. I know folks hear about it all the time, from passwords to you name all the threats out there, but there are folks looking to gain access to all of your critical information and either hold it for ransom or pose as you, or you name it. I mean, folks are under constant surveillance. I want to point out two quick things, Kevin. First off, and you kind of touched on this, but we have got to really lean into AI, machine learning, and all the modern technologies and leverage them in our active cyber strategy, right, Kevin?
Yeah. Cyber defense. Absolutely. There are a lot of artificial intelligence, machine learning is being embedded into the cyber protection software like McAfee and Norton. These are critical because technology changes so fast, and it's so prevalent in our lives. The attackers know, and they change their attacks
Right.
every day, maybe sometimes hourly. And
Right.
unfortunately, they are using machine learning, and artificial intelligence to attack you.
That's right. Every time I read, especially because when I read it, we all have that
Mhm.
voice in our minds, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Every time
yeah.
I read Norton or hear Norton, I always think of Norton from the Honeymooners. I think is what that's from. Norton.
No,
All right. So
Martin.
for a second,
You're showing your age, man. You're showing your
bad
age.
about that. Well, hey, Evan, as you were sharing some of your perspective, I was looking on a different screen. I came across a top 10 list of the worst passwords that are most hacked, and I couldn't find it. But anyway, I'll point this
One,
out.
two, three, four, five.
I'll point this out. Phishing, evidently, that's a PHISH phishing, is still the most common cyber attack. Kevin, 3.4 billion daily spam emails are sent out. 3.4 billion, and up to
I get half of them.
90%. Seriously, I must get the other half. Up to 90% of data breaches are due to that phishing activity. So, folks, not to preach, but just we've all been impacted probably, and we all are seeing these spam emails. Hey, share it with your team, especially if you see a new wrinkle to the attack. Maybe they are uncovering this about your business or this about your business. Hey, make sure your team is aware, because one person may be real savvy and delete that email. The other
Yeah.
person, Kevin, may cling to a certain thing that was mentioned, hit that click, and then, man, watch out where we go from here. Kevin, your final word.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking about email and everything, but don't, don't be lulled into a sense of comfort when it comes to text. No, I have gotten that text to my phone that says, someone has made a charge on Amazon of $1,500. If you didn't do this charge, click here. That's a fish.
Right. Right.
And they can get into your cell phone, and from your cell phone, get into your email, and from that, get into called lateral movement, get into your laptop, and from that, get into your business. Right?
It's all connected, and while we
Everything's
love
connected.
right, and we love the convenience of that, right? We all love the convenience of that. But as this last article that we just went through, and y'all check out the link in the comments, all of that wonderful digital transformation, there's a lot of good news there, but it also exposes those critical vulnerabilities that we all just have to be aware of. So y'all check it out from our friends at Industrial Cybersecurity Pulse. All right, Kevin, man, you are record. You broke some records with your efficiency today, Kevin. Did you know that?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you can't talk enough about protecting not just your organization or your company, but each other. I
right.
mean, it's who is the weakest link in cybersecurity? Don't let it be you.
Don't let it be you. Do not let it be you. All right. And Gino adds this little deal here. I was at Bellagio, Gino says, when he was hacked. Bad actors used the help desk to fake out the telephone that they were the IT head, needed a password changed. So evidently it looks like he was at the hotel. Bad actors used that and convinced maybe the hotel workers that they were the IT head and needed to have passwords changed. Man, that is bad news, Kevin.
Well, just yesterday, a couple days ago, MGM came clean with the ransomware attack.
Really? Okay.
They lost over $100 million based upon a ransomware attack, and the attackers stole tons of customer data. right?
Gotcha. Yes, that's right. MGM. Oh man. So that okay. So that's where I didn't connect the dots. Gina was at the Bellagio when it was hacked. I got you now, Gina. My apologies. And of course, MGM. How much? $100 million in losses, Kevin? Is that,
100 million.
wow,
That's it's expected to go over 100 million.
unbelievable. And of course, as y'all know, Clorox, the Clorox company, is still recovering from its hack from a few weeks back. It's best. Hey, what's the old phrase? I think Ben Franklin. It was attributed to him. A penny, a penny's. What's
Penny saved is worth.
no, not that one.
No,
A
not that one.
penny, a penny's worth of. All right, folks, y'all gonna have
Penny's
to help
worth
me
of
out.
knowledge worth a pound. Penny's worth of prevention is worth a pound of cure, or
Yes,
something like that.
that's the one. Thank you, Kevin. Something like that. That's the one. Okay. A lot of good stuff here on the Buzz Digital Transformers Edition. And Kevin, this is where I wanna wrap here today. First off, let's make sure, folks, before I have a fun question for you,
Okay.
Kevin, how can folks connect with you? How can they tune in to Digital Transformers? What would your advice be there?
So the fourth Monday of every month is a Digital Transformers show, and this month
Second.
we're going to the Digital Transformers show, and this month we're going to release a show with SAP, with TopCon, and I had a great conversation during that show.
Okay.
So and then we have some shows coming up before the end of this year with AT&T, where I'm interviewing the Chief Information Security Officer for AT&T.
Wow. Okay.
What do you think we're going to talk about?
I got a couple ideas, and I'm sure the rest of the world's going to be listening. Kevin, that's awesome. And I got confused for a second. So you're here the second Monday of each month, and we release a new episode on the fourth Monday.
Right.
Fourth Monday, right? Okay.
Yep.
I'm a little bit slow.
So I'm everywhere. You can also catch me on LinkedIn.
You
or on Supply Chain Now and under Digital Transformers. Hey.
Wonderful. And Catherine's got it nailed. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Thank you for that, Catherine.
I missed that one. It's not a penny of prevention.
Thank you, Amanda and Catherine.
You know, if we didn't have the team backing us up, we'd be in trouble.
Well, big time. All right. So this is what we want to finish on here today. We need to come up with a fun little wager because your Washington Commanders, Kevin, are playing my Atlanta Falcons, right? This coming Sunday, right? This coming Sunday. So let's do this.
Okay.
Here's the
wager.
Yeah. So based on who wins and who loses,
you're asking me to.
You're gonna have to come
on the Commanders winning.
That's right. So here's a simple deal. One of us has to come out decked out in the opposing team's colors on your next appearance based on who wins and who loses. Okay?
For the next buzz.
That's right. Next buzz.
Oh, you're scaring me.
Okay. Or we got to at least get a picture of you celebrating in the opposing teams. We'll refine that.
You're on.
That's right.
You're
on.
On.
Y'all heard it.
Commanders are going to be commanding over the Falcons.
All of y'all heard that. So we've got our little friendly wager, and we'll see who wins between the Commanders and the Falcons. Okay, Kevin, great episode here today. We're going to give folks a couple of minutes of time back. Always a pleasure having you join us. I love the cool things you're doing from a technology, a cloud, a cyber, just a global tech standpoint, and always a pleasure to have you here. So, Kevin, if you had to share one final thought based on this discussion, based on the vibe you're feeling this fine Monday morning, whatever it is, what's your final thought to share with our audience here?
So when I was in the military, you know, they always say you have to keep your head on a swivel, you know, especially when you're walking across a aircraft carrier deck. You know, planes are all everywhere. You can get sucked up and killed in a heartbeat. So when you're walking around the cyber world, keep your head on a swivel for those attackers.
That's right. They're out there looking to do really bad things. Well, Kevin L. Jackson, always a pleasure. Really
Thank you,
appreciate what
Scott.
you're
This is
doing.
fun.
It was a lot of fun, and we know what we have to do when we are on together next month too. So we'll see who wins between the Falcons and Commanders, folks. Folks, hopefully y'all enjoyed this lively edition of the Buzz here today, the Digital Transformers edition of the Buzz. Again, big thanks to folks behind the scenes, Catherine and Amanda, helping to make the production happen. But folks, whatever you do, hey, Kevin and I have dropped a lot of, I think, practical advice here today. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month here in October. Just take one idea and put it in action. Deeds, not words. Make your organization, make your team safer, make your organization safer, make your mission safer. So with that said, on behalf of the entire team here at Supply Chain Now, Scott Luton challenging you to do good, to give forward, and to be the change. And we'll see you next time right back here at Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.